4 years ago, I wrote this in my journal, and I really hope that you can't relate to it. I hope that when I read it, you're like, what would that be like? That sounds awful, but I have no idea what that's like. But because you're watching this video, it probably means you have OCD, which probably and unfortunately means you can relate to this. So 4 years ago, I wrote, I feel completely hopeless and overwhelmed and depressed. I feel like I'll never be happy and I'll always be trapped in this hell, and I can't feel Christ, and I can't feel anything but trapped, hopeless, and miserable, and confused, and I don't know what to do. Help me, Dad. I don't know what's happening to me, but I just feel like my whole mind is in utter chaos of negative emotions, and it feels like I'll never feel good again, just able to bear this misery at times. And then sometimes I just feel completely empty and void of emotion, which is even scarier than anxiety or depression. Ever felt like your head is so mush and utter turmoil from trying to know how to think about everything and how to cope with something so hard? I literally feel like I'm bobbing up and down in the water, gasping for breath, but my brain doesn't even know how to turn for breath or if breath is even possible. If you can relate at all to what I wrote in my journal 4 years ago, then I want you to raise your hand. But now, I want you to raise your hand if you want to have a life where you can no longer remember what that's like, or you have to think hard to remember what the OCD was like because you've healed so much, you've become so free, you've changed so much, you've conquered it so much, changed everything about your mind so much that you have to actually think hard and really try to remember in order to be able to remember what the OCD was like, in order to remember that pain, that suffering, that being trapped. If you want that change, then I want you to raise your hand. And the thing that I can say to you is that that change is possible. It is absolutely possible. Even if you've tried everything, even if you've tried ERP and you've tried medication and you've researched and you've studied and you've tried different coaches and different therapists and you've done all these different things and nothing has worked for you, you can still heal and you can still conquer the OCD. Not just make things more manageable, but you can actually overcome it for good. And I know that sounds bold. I know that sounds crazy when I'm saying, what is this guy talking about? But most of the people that I share these strategies with, that I share what changed my life with, match that story. They assure me they've tried everything and they feel hopeless and they're stuck. And no matter how hard they try, no matter how much they just put all their effort, all their heart and soul into it, they just can't beat the OCD, and it feels like this just wall that can't be moved out of their life until they do, right? Because the thing that I want you to know is that you are not broken. You are not stuck. It's just that the strategies, the information that you have been using has been broken, right? If you were trying to get from the United States of America to the UK and you were taking a kayak, you'd probably get stuck. No matter how much effort you put into it, you probably wouldn't make it. And the waves would crash on you and it would be painful and uncomfortable. And finally you'd say, enough is enough, I give up, it's impossible. But that doesn't mean it's impossible. It just means you're using a kayak when there are planes. So the thing that I want you to know is that I have found the plane. I can give you that plane ticket, and yes, it's not going to be immediate. It's not going to be easy, right? It might be a long flight. There might be kids screaming. It might be uncomfortable and hard at times. But you're going to make it from the United States to the UK once you have that plane ticket. I found the plane ticket. That is what this video is all about, is me sharing with you the exact steps, the process, the information that I learned that finally took me from being so stuck, being so trapped, because people don't understand how hard OCD can be. They don't understand the prison, the consuming emotions and thoughts that just will not let you be. They don't understand how much you just ache and crave for happiness and freedom and joy that just seems so out of reach and so impossible. And the more you try to grasp it, the more it just slips away, and instead it's filled with all these horrible thoughts and everything just taking over your mind. But I understand because I was there. I was there for most of my life. I was there for 14 years, stuck in the OCD with all sorts of different themes, with relationship OCD, with religious OCD, with perfectionism OCD, with social OCD, with intrusive thoughts, with panic attacks, with tons of anxiety, all these different things. And I tried traditional treatments, and I tried some medication. I did these things and it just didn't work. And it wasn't until I finally discovered the things I'm going to share with you today in this video, that's when everything changed for me. That's when, boom, faster than I ever imagined possible, I was able to go from feeling so trapped and fearing that I would never escape the OCD to instead waking up every morning just in love with life, just excited to live that day because that was a day where I could be conquering the OCD, where I could be creating the life, the emotions, the thoughts, the beliefs, the experiences that I dreamed of, where I could be designing my brain the way that I dreamed it to be, and where OCD truly had no power over me anymore. It was the information that I learned in this video that I'm going to share with you that finally allowed me to conquer that. And not just that changed my life, but that has changed so many other people's lives. People that have been stuck for decades and then in weeks have started changing their life and turning things around more than they thought possible. People that in just weeks have conquered the OCD so much that they're like, I don't even need more coaching. I don't even need more help because I'm free. I have my dream mind. People that learn these strategies, that message me and say they're dancing and crying in their kitchen because they feel so free for the first time in so long. Like, that is what is possible for you once you learn these strategies. Once you learn these simple but powerful concepts I'm about to share with you in this video. So if it is worth it for you to watch the next 30 minutes, whatever, how long it is, so that you can learn those steps, to take that chance on yourself, to take that chance of what if it can change your life like it did for me? What if it can change your life like it did for all those other people that I've shared these strategies with? If it is worth watching the rest of this video so that you can learn these things, then I want you to raise your hand and say yes. Say yes. All right, so let's jump into it. Let's jump into the strategies, the information that can make it so the scariest things in the world to you can become your greatest source of confidence. The things you are the most terrified of can be the things that you are the most confident towards. Let's do this. The very first thing that you need to understand about your OCD, and it's the first thing that I learned, that when I understood this, it opened the door for all of the other healing. It opened up everything else that I learned, all the other power I gained, all of it was based on this one thing that I learned. And it's that all OCD is just subconscious patterns. That's it. When you have OCD, it doesn't mean you're broken. It doesn't mean that you're just cursed forever. That's just who you are. No, it means that you have memorized those OCD patterns in your subconscious. And that's why they feel so automatic, so consuming. That's why they're so confusing and you don't understand them. It's because it's happening subconsciously, right? So real quick, what is your subconscious? It's the part of your brain that memorizes and stores information. And it's the part of your brain that's just automatic. It automatically operates without you having to consciously think about whatever's happening in your subconscious. For example, my breathing. I don't have to consciously think to breathe. My subconscious just causes me to breathe all the time. Or my favorite example of this is right now, if I were to tell you to tie your shoes, I'm guessing you could still pay total attention to me. You could still listen to the video and you could just, boom, tie your shoes. Why? Because you've memorized how to tie your shoes in your subconscious. So now your brain just knows how to do it. You just have that pattern that knows how to tell your hands and arms to move in a way that ties your shoes. You don't have to consciously think about it. And while a lot of people understand that this is how it is with skills, right? Steph Curry, when he goes to shoot a three, it's just subconscious patterns, him being able to do that so well. But a lot of people don't understand it's the exact same thing with your thoughts and emotions. It's the exact same thing with the way you perceive the world, and especially with your OCD. That all of the OCD thoughts, all of the OCD feelings, everything that you are suffering with, everything that's causing you the pain that you hate, that you just want to get rid of, the intrusive thoughts, all of it is just patterns you've memorized in your subconscious. That your brain has memorized how to think and feel in those ways, and it's just always running that program all the time. That's why it doesn't matter what's happening. That's why your OCD isn't logical. Instead, your OCD is just going to always be telling you that same story. Oh, can't be contaminated. Oh, that's going to contaminate you. That's going to contaminate you. No matter where you are or what's happening, it's going to find a reason of why you're going to get contaminated. Or that's why it's always going to tell you, you're going to harm someone, you're going to harm them, you're going to harm them. What if you harm them? Because it's just that program that's always playing no matter what. Or whatever your theme of OCD is, right? It's always going to be telling you that program because that's just the pattern it's memorized to run in your brain no matter what. And the reason why this is the most exciting thing you'll ever come to learn about your OCD is because your subconscious mind can be reprogrammed. You can design your subconscious. You can design your brain to think and feel and believe and behave the ways that you want instead of the ways that you don't want. You have that power. Once you learn the right steps, you absolutely can retrain your brain. And that is why it's so exciting, because then all we have to do is figure out how to rewire your subconscious. That's it. Right? That is why I'm going to share the steps with you in this video of how to rewire your subconscious. But before we go into that, I want to go over why. Why? Why do these patterns get memorized in your subconscious? Why does your brain memorize this pattern of, oh, you have to always fear why people are judging you? Or, oh, you have to always fear why how you're doing this awful sin and why you're not going to be saved. Like, why does your brain obsess over and think and feel all these horrible things all the time? Why did that get memorized in your subconscious and not someone else's? So, here's the thing to understand. Here's the crazy thing about all OCD. Every thought, every feeling that you have, your brain is causing on purpose, right? Your subconscious wants you to be thinking those awful thoughts. It wants you to have that intrusive thought. It wants you to have that crippling anxiety. It wants you to experience all of those things. And not for the reasons you think, it wants you to think that because you actually do want to harm someone. No, this is why your subconscious wants you to have those awful thoughts, awful feelings that take over your life. So every human has four needs, psychological needs, right? The first need is safety and survival. You've got to be able to survive and stay alive, avoid the pain, the danger. The second need is freedom and control. This is a huge one with OCD. The third need is significance, being good enough, being a valuable person. And the fourth need is love and connection, which I believe is the biggest need that we all have. We need love and connection in our lives. So, how do these needs have anything to do with OCD? Well, here's the way it works. When your subconscious mind memorizes based on your experiences, what's happened in your life, the way you've thought, the way you felt, genetics and things like that can definitely go into it as well. But based on all these different factors, when your subconscious mind memorizes that one or multiple of your needs are not met, then your brain is going to obsess over and do whatever it takes to get those needs to be met. So when your brain memorizes that there is something specific that could stop your need from being met in a way that is out of your control, then that is when your brain is going to obsess over preventing that thing from happening. Your brain is going to obsess over protecting you from that thing no matter what it takes. So if your brain memorizes, holy cow, if I lose control and harm someone, none of my needs will be met. Or, oh my goodness, if I touch something and it makes me sick. Or if your brain memorizes, oh my goodness, if this relationship doesn't work out, if I don't love this person, if I fall out of love with them, then my needs won't be met. Or, oh, if I have flaws, if I have these things that are wrong with me, these insecurities, so that no one will ever love me, that will make it so my needs are never met. Out of my control, right? Whatever your theme is, your brain has memorized that that thing will stop your needs from being met in a way that is out of your control. So then your brain is going to obsess over protecting you from that thing. And then here's the thing that is crucial for you to understand about how the brain works. Your brain thinks the only way it can protect you from a danger, from a threat, from something that will stop your needs from being met is by making you think about it and making you feel a negative emotion towards it, telling you this thing is bad, this thing is making your needs not met, we must protect ourselves. And your brain thinks the only way that it can make sure you think about that bad thing and the only way that it can make sure you feel enough negative emotion towards it that you'll protect yourself from it is if your brain can convince you that that awful thing is going to happen and that that thing is awful, that it's horrible, that it's going to be the most terrible thing in the world. Like, that is why you always have the thoughts trying to convince you of whatever it is for you. That's why your brain is always trying to convince you that you're a horrible sinner. Is because your brain thinks the only way it can make sure you make it to heaven and have your needs met is if it can protect you from every possible sin that you could ever commit. So what's it gonna do? It's gonna always be making you think of any possible sin that you might be committing. It's gonna always be making you feel the negative emotions of shame, fear towards those possible sins. And it's gonna always be trying to convince you that everything is a sin, even when it's not. Same thing with whatever your theme is, the harm OCD. That's why your brain's always trying to convince you you're gonna harm someone, that you're gonna lose control. And it's gonna find anything it possibly can and use it as evidence to convince you of that, because your brain thinks the only way your needs can be met, the only way you can be protected from the danger that will stop your needs from being met, is if it can convince you of that horrible thing. That's why you have intrusive thoughts, because your brain thinks, holy cow, this thing is horrible, right? If you harmed this person right now, that would be horrible. So you have to think about it, because it is such an awful danger. So boom, it causes that intrusive thought. You have to think about this because it's so bad. And maybe you memorize that the intrusive thought itself is something that is a danger that makes it so your needs aren't met. Because, if I have the intrusive thought, that means my need for control isn't met. That means my need for being a good person isn't met, because it makes me feel like a disgusting, awful person. So then when your brain memorizes that the intrusive thought itself is a danger, then what's your brain going to do? It's going to make you think about it to try to protect yourself. And it's going to make you feel the fear, the shame, the negative emotion. And it's going to try to convince you that, this intrusive thought is actually going to make me lose control. It actually means this horrible thing about me, whatever it is. Then when it comes to the compulsions, that's what your brain has memorized. If this is the only way I can make sure this danger doesn't happen, this is the only way I can make sure my need is met, is I have to go wash my hands, or I have to search this thing on Google to make sure that I don't have this illness, or I have to ask my friend for reassurance, or I have to go and confess the sin, whatever it is. And that's why your brain is then going to create the thoughts and feelings to make it feel like you have to do that urge. Like that is the only thing that matters, is you have to do that compulsion, because that is the only way you can make sure you're protected and that your needs are met. That's it. So once you understand this, you can actually know that just because you're thinking something, just because you're feeling something, it doesn't make it true. It just means that your brain has memorized that that thing is awful. So then your brain's going to do whatever it can to try to protect you from it by trying to convince you of that horrible thing. So all the thoughts, all the feelings, everything that goes with your OCD theme, it's all just nothing. It's all just a program. It's all just a pattern playing in your brain of your brain trying to meet your needs. That's it. But it's lying to you. It is distorting reality. It is trying to trick you and trying to lie to you to convince you of these awful things. Not because they're true, but because your brain thinks you have to be convinced in order for your needs to be met. So when it's so convincing and you just know for a fact that no, this time it's real, this time it's true, it's because your brain, your subconscious, it knows you perfectly because it is your brain. So it knows exactly what thoughts, what memories, what images, what sensations. It knows exactly what to trigger to be that convincing of that horrible thing. So of course it's going to be convincing. Of course it's going to feel like it's just a fact and that's just how it is. But that's not true. It's just a memorized program. It's just a lie. That's it. Right? A few simple analogies real quick just to show you how this works. So you can really visualize and take this in. That all the thoughts and feelings are nothing. They're just lies. They're just programs. It's literally nothing. Is first, I want you to real quick, wherever you are, I just want you to look around and I want you to look for red. Look for red, find red, look for red, look for red, find red. Close your eyes. Now I want you to think of everything you can remember that's the color brown. Probably not very many things, right? So now open your eyes again, and this time I want you to look for brown. Look for brown, find brown, look for brown, look for brown. Close your eyes. I'm guessing there's a lot more brown things that you can think of this time compared to the first time. All right, go ahead and open your eyes. The reason why I have you do this is to show you that your brain, whatever you are looking for, you're gonna find. And where it gets even crazier is I'm guessing some of the things you called red are actually pink or maroon. Some of the things you called brown are actually tan. But because your brain wanted to find red and brown so much, it found them even when they weren't there, right? It's the exact same thing with the OCD. Your brain wants to find how you can be contaminated, or how you can be an awful sinner, or how you can be judged, or how you can lose control, or how you can be stuck forever, or how you can go crazy. It wants to find those things so bad because it thinks it has to protect you, that it's going to find them everywhere, even when they don't exist. All the evidence that you think supports that terrifying thing, it's not evidence. It's the color pink that your brain turned into red because it wanted to find red. right? Another analogy real quick, and this is gonna sound silly, but I want you just for a second, I want you to imagine that there's an elephant in the room with you stomping around in the room with you. Just imagine that. Okay, I'm guessing that you didn't yell, you didn't scream, you weren't like, what the heck, like how did this elephant get here? And you started like taking pictures. I'm guessing you didn't do any of those things. If anything, you just kind of laughed or were like, what, this is weird. Why? It's because you knew it was just a thought. You knew it was just your imagination. It wasn't actual reality. It was just your brain distorting reality and imagining something up. Well, guess what? Once you understand OCD, once you understand that everything with your OCD theme is just your brain distorting reality, imagining things up to try to trick you and lie to you, to scare you, then you can realize that all of the OCD, no matter how convincing it is, it's just imaginary elephants. It has no more reality than that elephant did that you're imagining. It's just an elephant. It is nothing. And you might say, okay, well, it's the feelings. The feelings are the hardest part. It feels so real. It feels so consuming, this fear, this anxiety, all of this. Here's the thing I want you to think about. Right now, if you wanted to, could you feel yourself wearing your shirt? Could you feel it on your shoulders, your chest, your stomach, your back? Could you feel that? Yeah, you could if you wanted to. But we don't, because it doesn't matter, right? Our brain always has sensory receptors sensing that feeling, that sensation, the physical sensation of your shirt being there, but you never notice it because it's nothing. It doesn't matter that that feeling's there. So yes, you might have the convincing fear and all that feeling, all those physical sensations of the fear and shame and whatever it is. But once you understand that all of that feeling that's getting triggered is just your brain imagining things up. It's just your brain causing and triggering that sensation, those chemicals to feel that way. Based on a lie, based on nothing. Just because you're feeling it doesn't make it real at all. It's just a shirt, right? Once you understand the OCD and what's happening, you can know that all of the emotions, all of the feelings with the OCD is just really uncomfortable shirts. That's it. Because the feeling might be there, but it doesn't mean anything. It's just a feeling, just chemicals, just sensations. All right, so real quick, I want you to just take this in. Just take in how amazing is it to know that everything you've been so afraid of, you've been so terrified of, that's been so awful for you, is literally nothing. It's already a lie. It's already not true. It already doesn't exist. It's just your brain imagining things up, like the elephant, like the shirt, like the looking for red. Just take in how relieving, how amazing that really is. So you might be thinking, all right, this is great, like great information to have, but what can I do about it? Like, how do I actually change my brain? How do I change the subconscious patterns so I can finally escape this OCD that I've been so trapped in? This is it. This is the way. This is the way that is so powerful, the way that you can take the power back and actually overcome the OCD for good and heal. In the most simplified explanation. So in each moment, you have your subconscious patterns that you've already memorized, right? All the patterns in your brain of the OCD. You also have your conscious mind, or the new patterns that you want to memorize. And a big thing to understand with this too is that it ultimately comes down to the beliefs, right? You have your old beliefs you've memorized, and you have the new beliefs that you want to memorize. Because here's what I want you to think about for a second. Beliefs are everything. All of the OCD thoughts, the feelings, the fear, the everything, all of the suffering comes down to the beliefs that you've memorized that are now being expressed through your thoughts and feelings. But if you can memorize some new beliefs, just think of how much that will change everything. You're only a few beliefs away from conquering the OCD. Maybe just one belief away. Because I want you to think about it for a second. If you could just believe, like actually believe it, so it's real for you, you can feel it and it's real and wow, I believe this thing. If you could just believe that you really are a good person, if you could just believe that you're going to heaven, if you could just believe that you have control over your actions no matter what your thoughts or feelings do, if you could just believe that you'll never harm someone, instead you'll always love and care for people, if you could just believe that you're gonna have that amazing relationship you dream of. If you could just believe that you are so lovable and you are deserving of love, if you could just believe, like whatever it is, how much would that conquer all of the OCD? If you could actually believe that one or two or few beliefs, how much would it change how you're feeling if you could just believe those things? Right? Beliefs are everything. So you have your subconscious patterns or beliefs that you've memorized in your brain, but you also have the beliefs that consciously you can have. You can consciously choose to believe that thing and the things that you want to memorize in your subconscious. Right? So whichever is more powerful in the moment, either your old subconscious patterns or your conscious mind, whatever is more powerful in the moment is what you're going to experience in that moment. So then the hard thing with OCD is that the subconscious is always so powerful, right? It just takes over your brain, and your brain's like, you have to think this, you have to feel this, you have to believe this. Boom. So then it feels impossible to believe anything else more than you're believing and fearing all of the OCD. But what if you could take all the power away from your subconscious patterns in the moment and instead give all of the power towards the thing that consciously you are wanting and deciding to believe, to those new patterns? Then in that moment, you would actually be experiencing that new belief, that new reality, those new emotions, that new experience. And the reason why this gets super powerful is that the more times you do this and the more powerfully you do this, the more that you can memorize it. Neurons that fire together wire together. Neurons that fire out of sync lose their link. So if you can repeatedly teach your brain to think and believe and feel and experience life in this different way, with this different lens of reality, if you can repeatedly do that, then you can teach your brain to automatically start to think and feel and believe those things. You can actually design your brain to be the way you want it to be. However, where the challenge is that those two steps can be very difficult, right? Because there's a reason why your OCD is so powerful, and it can be hard to believe something new, especially, here's the big thing. You've got to be able to create the new patterns, create the new beliefs, new experiences without ruminating, without proving, without analyzing, without trying to force them. Because if you've done ERP, if you've done the traditional treatments, then I'm sure you know that those things are never going to work, right? So if you're trying to prove to yourself this new belief, if you're trying to prove it and force it, oh, I have to force this belief. Oh, I have to somehow convince myself to believe this new thing. Oh, I have to somehow, reason things through, and I have to do these compulsions to make sure I can believe and feel this certainty towards this new belief. If you're doing that, all that's going to do is make you stuck. That's it. All that's doing is feeding into the OCD. So there are a few ways that you can do these steps of making the OCD less powerful and making the patterns you do want more powerful. There are ways you can do this that actually works, that actually will bring you more power, more freedom than you could ever dream of, right? And the first thing is, when it comes to taking power away from the OCD, when it comes to ERP, the way they attempt this is just expose yourself to it. Just face it. Just sit in it, right? Just maybe not. Oh, maybe I'll lose control, maybe not, right? Just sit in the fear, sit in the discomfort, just face it, and just become more okay with the suffering. But what if I told you there's a much more powerful way that you can take the power away from the OCD, and it doesn't involve you having to sit and face your deepest fears, right? Because there is a reason, psychologically, there is a reason in your brain why those thoughts are so scary, why those things happening are so scary and bring so much anxiety, and why the thoughts are getting triggered. So what if, instead of just having to sit and face the thoughts and feelings, what if you could go to the root of those thoughts and feelings and take the reason behind why they're so stuck in your mind, the reason behind why they're so scary to you, the reason behind why it's so awful, and what if you could change that reason? What if you could take out that reason? So that then you could make it so that instead of having to go, oh my goodness, I'm going to sit in this most terrifying thing ever and be okay with it, instead you can go, I'm going to change psychologically the way that my brain views this thing so that then my brain can automatically just be okay with that thought being there. What if you could change the way your brain perceives the intrusive thought, or the way your brain perceives the event happening, or whatever that trigger is for you, so that when it happens, you can automatically just go like, and like, okay, great, there's a thought. Like, oh yeah, there's a feeling, cool. And that's it. Like, what if you could get to the point where I actually had someone I was working with and teaching them these strategies, where they're like, oh, I cannot wait for my next panic attack to get triggered because I'm going to kick its butt. Like, what if you could make it so that all of the OCD thoughts, feelings, all of those old patterns, so that when they get triggered, it either becomes just nothing to you. So it's like, great, that's there. Like, that literally, yeah, it's gone, it's nothing. Or what if you can make it so that those worst triggers and OCD patterns can actually feed into the beliefs you want, can actually empower you to be more free, to be more healed, so that it's something you can actually get excited for. That is possible. You can learn how to do that once you understand the psychology behind why you're so scared of those thoughts, why those thoughts, feelings, everything is so awful to you, and why they're getting triggered so much. And when it comes to the new patterns, the new beliefs, the new view of reality that you do want for your life, there are two things that we want to do here. One, the biggest one, is we're going to learn how to create that belief in a way that is unconditional. In a way that you can decide what you are believing, in a way that the power is inside of you. So it's not, oh, I need to be able to feel it, oh, I need to be able to chase this certainty, oh, I need to be able to get this belief, but instead it's, how can I do this belief? How can I create this belief? How can I unlock the power inside of me to make this belief real for me, no matter how I'm thinking, no matter how I'm feeling, no matter what's getting triggered, no matter what the OCD tells me, right? How can we make our belief something that is unconditional? Meaning you can do it, you can have that belief no matter what, and nothing can stop you. That is the goal. That is what you can learn how to do. And the second thing we want to do with making, the new belief, the new pattern more powerful in the moment is learn how to communicate with your subconscious in a way that actually makes it real, in a way that actually makes it the most dominant thing to you in the moment, in a way that you can actually, the same way that the OCD takes over your brain and just fills it with all these thoughts and feelings, and it's just so real to you and it's so convincing. What if you could learn how to communicate with your subconscious in a way where you can do that for the good? Where you can have that same level of power, just the convincingness and just where it consumes your mind and just fills up your whole reality with that good belief. And still in a way that is unconditional, where you have the power to do it. Right? An analogy I want you to think about with this is even right now, in the darkest moment of your OCD, the time when it was the worst, the most consuming, it's just horrible. If in that moment, an actual tiger started chasing you, I think it's pretty safe to say you'd forget all about the OCD in that moment, and your whole reality, your whole experience would be on escaping that tiger. So in that moment, you would, in a sense, be healed. You would be free from the OCD. Not because you did anything with the OCD, you faced the fear, you did whatever of it. No, just because there's something else that was so powerful that it made your brain totally forget about the OCD, because the OCD no longer matters. It's not even relevant or a thing to you anymore. It's just gone. What if you could do that with the belief you want? What if you could do that with believing that you're a loving, amazing person? What if you could do that with believing you have power over your mind and you can create healing and you're going to be so free? What if you could do that with believing and creating the amazing relationship that you want? What if you could do that with believing you're going to heaven? Right? How amazing would that be? And the thing I want you to know is that you can. All of the emotion that you want, the emotion of, oh, I just want to feel at peace. I just want to feel confident towards this thing. Oh, I just want to feel in love. Oh, I just want to feel this happiness. It is inside of you. It absolutely is. That emotion, that experience, it already exists right inside of you. You've just got to learn how to unlock it, how to access it. You've just got to learn how to, in your brain, actually select that emotion, select that experience as the most dominant reality for you. How to select that as the most powerful belief and reality for you in the moment. That's it. You have that power. You just need to learn how to unlock it, how to start to use it, how to use that skill. Because what if that certainty that you wanted, that belief you wanted, that thing you want so much, oh, I just want this confidence, this freedom, this healing. What if that's something that you could believe in unconditionally? And that you could create the emotion, create the experience of it, actually make it real and something you can experience unconditionally. In a way where you're not forcing, you're not proving, you're not doing compulsions. It's not feeding into the OCD because you're not doing it out of a place of, oh, I have to escape this, or oh, I have to do this, or I have to. No, instead, it's out of freedom, it's out of excitement, it's out of empowerment. And it's in a way where it's so powerful that just like that tiger, you're actually living by and living in those new patterns, those new beliefs, those new experiences so much that the OCD just fades, it just goes away. And when it does try to get triggered, you're like, great, no, this is my reality. This is what I'm believing. This is so powerful and real for me that there's literally no power behind that OCD. It automatically just bounces off of me or fades away. Or I can take away the power behind that OCD by actually going to the source of the power the OCD has and changing that, cutting it off so that when the thought gets triggered, it's like, oh wow, a thought, yay, like it's nothing. That is how you conquer OCD for good. That is how you take the power back. That is how you can have unconditional power in your life. That is how you become unstoppable. And you can design the brain that you want in a way where when you keep doing that, you keep taking your power away from the OCD and you keep giving power to the new beliefs, the new experiences, the new patterns, it can actually become memorized until it's automatic. And just to give you some hope of how this can be true for you, an experience in my life to give you some hope, to show you that this is possible, that you can redesign your subconscious, is for me at the time, one of my worst themes of OCD was the social OCD, the fear of being judged, rejected, of never being loved, of always, being alone, all of those things. And so about a month after I was learning these steps and practicing them and applying them and just going all in on doing these things that I just taught you, about a month after that, I was walking on campus. It's back when I was in university. I was just walking and I was on my phone and I got this text from this girl that I was really interested in rejecting me. And in the past, that would have caused all the fear, all the thoughts, the obsessing, oh, what's wrong with me? What did I do wrong? Oh, I'm horrible. Oh, she's judging me for this or that. All the anxiety. But I remember in that moment, my brain almost started to go to all those old patterns. And instead, boom, whoosh, I was just filled with this power, filled with this confidence, this love, this excitement, this feeling like my dreams are coming true. Just all these amazing emotions and beliefs and this amazing experience. And I was like, what? Like, this is crazy, because in that moment, I hadn't done anything to create it. My brain had memorized a new, most dominant subconscious pattern so that when that trigger happened, boom, it automatically took me to the patterns, the beliefs, the experiences that I wanted to have, that I had designed my brain to experience and to have and to memorize. So just think about it for a second. What if your worst trigger, your worst fear could actually be something that when it happens, when that intrusive thought happens, when that event happens, when you touch that thing, whatever it is, boom, you automatically are filled with confidence and freedom and all these amazing thoughts and beliefs and all these things that you want. That is possible when you apply these steps. And these steps have been so much more powerful for me than all the traditional treatments, all of the other things that I've tried. And with all the people I've helped, it's been so much more powerful for them. So much that, like I said, there have been people that have been trying for years, ERP, all the traditional treatments, and maybe gotten some results, maybe no results, maybe it's gotten worse, maybe it's gotten a little better, but ultimately it hasn't gotten them the results they wanted. And then in just a week or two of learning and applying these things, they've changed their life. They've changed their mind more than all of the years combined. People that in just 5 or 6 weeks, they're able to change their life. They're able to redesign their brain and develop so much power over the OCD in the moment that they don't need any more coaching. They don't need any more help because they changed their life. People that literally are having 3 panic attacks a day, and in just one conversation, learning these strategies and how to really apply them, they were able to go from those 3 panic attacks a day to just 1 panic attack in the next 2 months. Like, these things can absolutely transform your life. And because they are so powerful, because it is so life-changing, because it was everything for me, because it took me from being so trapped that I thought I was going crazy and I was suffering and I hated life, to then falling so in love with life that every day was a blessing. Every moment was an incredible opportunity for me to experience and create the life I dream of. Because it changed my life so much. That is why I have now committed my entire life to sharing this information, to sharing these strategies with as many people as I possibly can. I will not quit. As long as there is someone that is still stuck in their mind, I will not quit. Sharing these things with all the passion, all the belief, all the intensity, all of the love that I possibly can, so that it can change your life and everyone's life that is struggling. I will not quit, because that is how much I believe in these things. That is how real these things have been for me in changing my life and changing everything. And I would not give up this knowledge, this power that I've developed through these strategies for anything. And that is why, just like one of my recent clients just said, if you've tried everything with OCD, and if you just want so badly to be able to overcome it, if you just want so badly to finally have that healing, that transformation that you want, and not just make the OCD not so bad, but actually create the life you dream of, this is it. This is the process that works. Right? I'm so confident that this process will work for you, that everyone that signs up for my program, I give 2 guarantees. The first guarantee is that you will have power over OCD, that you will have power over it, so that at any moment you can change your experience, you can change the thoughts, the feelings, actually have power to change that moment experience. And the second guarantee is that you will have everything you need to create all of the lasting healing you want. And be totally confident that you have what you need to be able to create that change. Those are the two guarantees I give everyone. And if you don't get those things in the first 2 months of my program, then I will work with you for free for up to 2 more months until you do get those guarantees. And if at that point you still didn't have those guarantees, I will give you your money back. That is how confident I am that you will get those results. Like, this is just how the brain works. So the only thing we've got to figure out is how to get it so that it works for your brain, how to make it so that it can work for you, which the one thing I will tell you is we will find a way. We will find a way to get you the results you want, to change your life more than you ever dreamed of. If you commit to working with me, then I commit that I will not let you fail. We will do whatever it takes. You can ask any of my clients how hard I fight for them to do whatever it takes to get them the results they want. That is what I can do for you. So if you have already scheduled a call so that you can get more information on how this can change your life, then just get excited for it. And if you haven't, you can either reach out to me or there's a link below where you can schedule that call and get excited for that call, because on that call, I want to change your life. I want to help you create a breakthrough. I want to blow your mind so much that you know this stuff can work for you. I want to blow your mind so much that you know that you can heal, that you can change your life. I want you to know how you specifically can overcome the OCD with whatever you are struggling, no matter how bad it has been for you. So I'm super pumped for you now that you know that you can be OCD for good. There is a way you can be free. Nothing can stop you once you learn the right ways to heal and to take power over your mind, to be able to design it to be the way you want it to be. And I'm super excited to be able to talk with you more so that I can help you specifically to accomplish all of your dreams. Let's go.